How we doing, everybody? This is Let's Be Real with Brad, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new Blumhouse horror film, You Should Have Left. You Should Have Left is directed by David Koepp, who wrote many great films like Jurassic Park, the first Mission Impossible film, the first Spider-Man film, but he also wrote The Mummy, 2017, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull. My eyes! It stars Kevin Bacon and Amanda Seyfried. Well, here we are. Another horror film that Brad watches because he watches every horror film that comes out. I did this to myself. This is another Blumhouse horror film that has all the typical cliches, tropes, and everything you would expect from a production of Blumhouse. Blumhouse does a great job of allowing their creators to make films on their own. Blumhouse does get involved in a certain way of having certain elements to be in their films. For the most part, they allow the creators to do what they want, and that's why a lot of their films feel so different, and allowing creators to want to work with them and make great horror films. They have a bunch of great horror films in their catalog, but a lot of times they're just hit or miss. You never know what to expect from a Blumhouse film, and I think that's why it's always kept me intrigued to go watch another Blumhouse film, because it can always be a really, really great one, but then also a bunch of stinkers along the way. It was a waste of money. Okay, I can't really say it's a waste of money because I think this film was an interesting horror film that came out this year. So I watched the trailer after I watched this film because I don't really like to watch trailers, and I want to see how it was marketed to audiences, and it seems like it was marketed as a typical Blumhouse horror film, but the movie doesn't execute itself at all. Kevin Bacon does a pretty solid job in this film. I will say that he's actually legitimately trying as in many of the scenes. If you're a big Kevin Bacon fan, I think this is a pretty solid movie for him, as he does a really good job selling most of the scenes in this film. Amanda Seyfried's not really in this film as much, and her character is really poorly written, so to me it feels like she shouldn't be judged solely on her performance alone. I think she's fine. I don't think she's bad in any way. She's not really heavily utilized as I thought she was going to be. This film focused severely on this relationship between the two at this younger and older age, and there's this background between each of the characters that are so unknown, and it feels so out of the loop for us. The audience should know a little bit about these characters, at least when you're developing the movie. You don't have to give it to us all right away, but by the end of the film, you don't know anything about these characters, as all these mysteries and little subplots that you were already hyping up throughout the film don't end up being answered. You end up being really underwhelmed and disappointed by the whole project itself. I like to be very patient in films if a subplot's not answered. Like, you know what? We'll see if it'll be answered. Sometimes it'll be answered right in the last 2 minutes, or in the third act, or maybe in the second act. I want to see where this movie's going. But every time in this stinking film, they never answer any subplots. They'll give you somewhat of an answer, but then it's not really a substantial answer. It doesn't really give you what you want, and it's not a good kind of answer, like a film that this is relatively similar to, the 1980 film by Stanley Kubrick, The Shining. That film gives you answers. You can watch a movie on a surface level, but there's so many deeper elements and themes that are going on throughout the film, and sudden, hidden, really darker moments that you would have to watch a couple times to truly understand the masterpiece that Stanley Kubrick is making. That's one film I don't want to understand everything. I mean, I would love to, but it's one of those films that it's so intriguing because there's so much detail in every single shot, every single frame that Kubrick was trying to make. So it's this good kind of mystery of learning of how this movie's going to go. In this film, it doesn't have that same intrigue. It doesn't seem to have that interesting and amazing dialogue and really great characters. It just feels so bland, lifeless, and just has a lackluster, really simplistic, messy script. I found myself just pretty much bored once we get to the house and things start to happen, because then it seems to repeat itself constantly with finding things in the house and being scared, finding things in the house and being scared. It was just always something like that, and then a new piece of information is added to us, and it doesn't really provide anything new for me as the audience to really want to engage more in the film. All the scares are flat and they're boring, and none of them scared me in the slightest. There might have been a few jump scares that made me jump a little, but those are just cheap tactics in a way to get me to just scream or something. But if a jump scare makes you scared in that moment, but then it doesn't scare you after, with that creature or whatever's happening is scary, then the jump scare isn't actually scary to begin with. It's just a loud noise that affects your brain and startles you because we're not expecting that loud sound to happen. This film is very clunky all throughout. The pacing is very inconsistent. There will be times where it does get a little more interesting the second act with the daughter trying to figure out how this house works and trying to discover the hidden secrets, but then it just gets so clunky and it just has so many moments in the film that I just didn't care. A conclusion that is really stupid and really doesn't make any sense. I really try to sit down and try to put this film up and try to analyze it because I wanted to give this film a fair chance. I wanted to see maybe there was something I missed, but in the end it just got worse and worse the more I thought about it. This is not worth the $19.99 in theater rental. If you really like Kevin Bacon, there are plenty of other Kevin Bacon films that you can watch out there. That is not this. And if you want to watch a movie that's similar to this, just watch The Shining. I mean, it's the best horror film of all time, so you just might as well watch that and you're going to get your true money's worth. Just buy the 4K. I'm helping you guys out here. I'm going to give this film a 4 out of 10. There are parts of it that are interesting, and I don't think this movie is an overall terrible experience as I made this movie out to be. If you really enjoy this video, please share the video. Please subscribe. It really helps the channel. So thank you for everybody who has been supporting my channel, subscribing, liking. You guys have been amazing and continue to really help out my channel grow. Down below, what is your favorite horror movie of all time, or what are some horror films that you are looking forward to this year? I know some of them might be like Saint Maud, Antlers, Antebellum, and a new Halloween film that's coming out that I really hope it's good, and I'm really nervous. As always, if you enjoyed this video, I'll see you guys next time.